A new Wallet Hub study found that the typical household in Illinois pays 15% of its income to state and local taxes. That's the highest in the nation. That's an average of $10,000 plus, a 22% hike since 2017. And that's a quote I just read from IllinoisPolicy.org. Can you believe that? I feel like I'm in one of those insurance commercials right now. If you or someone you know has been defeated by Illinois, help is available and it works. Call 1-251-288-6165. I mean, but in all seriousness, that's what I do. It's what we do. I'm Tony, and our channel talks about living in Lower Alabama. And if you don't know who we are, we're your real estate fam, the #1 relocation team in all of Lower Alabama. We post videos every week to help people find out everything there is to know about moving to and living in LA. So I'll get started and tell you the main reasons why we left Chicago for Lower Alabama. Both states are very, very different, and I'll try to cover some of the major differences so you can get an idea of what to expect before you make the move on to the deep south from that crummy old state of Illinois. And I don't blame you. I've lived it, and I'll be the first one to tell you, get the hell out of there while you can.
Get out while you still can.
Now, I'm about to give you a list of differences. Some you may know, but I'm sure I'll throw something in there you've never heard before. So stick around and check it out. First things first, there's a major weather change if you're coming from Illinois. Down here, you're gonna have summer temps that reach 90 plus degrees. And with the heat index, you'll most definitely be in the 100s. And this heat isn't for everybody. So you need to be aware of our climate down here. And I don't say this to scare you guys. I say this because I see it. Some people genuinely don't leave the AC in the summer. They just don't want to do it. Personally, I'll get out there and I'll play 18 holes. Shit, I'll play 36 holes if you're up for it. And then I'll go home and I'll grill dinner for the family. But if you try to get me outside when it's below 4 degrees, I'll tell you straight up, no thank you. I'd rather start the fireplace, turn on some football, and I'm good. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is different strokes for different folks. I just know we don't have 4 seasons. We have 2 seasons, which is scorching hot and then mildly hot. I mean, it's different when you live here and you can wear shorts all year round. And when people see you wearing shorts in the wintertime, they think you're crazy. But I tell them, you know, you can't shovel sunshine. I'd rather do this all day long. The next major difference is that you can't compare Chicago skyline to anyone else's in the world. It's by far the most breathtaking. New York's, Philly's, LA, they're all okay, but Chicago's just hits different. And I might be a little biased, but that's just my opinion. Now, with that said, the rocky yellow sand on Lake Michigan just doesn't come close to the white sugary sand we have here on the beaches of Alabama. And I know everybody has seen Chicago skyline, but did you even know that Alabama has the prettiest beaches in the country? I'll take the warm Gulf of Mexico, palm trees, bays, bayous, and rivers over Chicago's concrete jungle or Illinois' cornfields any day of the week. Moving on, let's talk about something truly important right now in our country, and that's the irresponsible leadership. I briefly mentioned Wallet Hub's recent study, but that was about state and local taxes being the highest in the nation. And that's not all. Illinois has some of the highest property taxes in the nation too. On top of that, you have Chicago's new mayor, Brandon Johnson, saying that the city can find fiscal flexibility by taxing big business. They've elected someone who wants to tax even more. Can you believe that? When I heard that, I was shocked. Just when you thought they couldn't elect somebody worse, there you go. Chicago is home to the second highest commercial property taxes in the nation. But when this mayor gets a hold of that city, I'm sure it'll plummet even more than it already has. And don't even get me started on the governor up there. Now, when it comes to Governor Ivy, she's over here passing bills that prohibit state contracts with businesses that boycott certain sectors of the economy based on the ESG, which is by far the strongest bill in the nation that protects taxpayer money from being spent on these woke ideas. And Governor Meemaw also banned boys from competing in K through 12 sports, along with public colleges and universities. And did I mention we have the lowest property taxes in the entire nation? I don't know. I just like bringing that one up because it's not peanuts, especially to us hardworking Americans across the country. Who wants to work their whole lives just to give their hard-earned money back to the government for property taxes? I know I don't. And that brings me to our next topic, cost of living. This is a major pro of living in Lower Alabama. Alabama as a whole has the 7th lowest cost of living in the entire United States. It's relatively a lot cheaper to live here because we have low housing prices, we have low taxes, and low rent costs. Purchasing a home here below the national average of $400,000 is pretty common. There's areas all throughout Lower Alabama where you can buy even a brand new build that's gold fortified and in the 200,000s still to this day. But because of all that said, our sales taxes are a little bit higher than the national average. And speaking of which, Alabama legislation just signed a bill that's going to lower, yes, lower grocery taxes. With the way the economy is right now and the rising cost of just about everything, it definitely helps us out. That, along with not having to pay for red light cameras and every other dumb thing you can come up with up north, it's just a matter of time before they start taxing them to breathe up there. And I know you're probably thinking, wow, this Tony guy is really on one right now. And I'd say you're right. This is what eventually drove me out of Illinois. And I don't know, I'm just a little passionate about it. So it is what it is. Another thing that's different in Lower Alabama is the traffic. It isn't terrible. A traffic jam here can slow you down for like 10 to 25 minutes, while in Chicago, you can tack on an hour or more easily. Now, it's not to say we don't have traffic at all, but it's relative to where you're currently living and where you're from, that's for sure. Now, Alabama is growing in terms of tourism and population, so some roads may seem a little bit more congested at peak times, and people are moving down here from other states in large numbers. So yeah, locals definitely notice the difference, but for us transplants, this is a total upgrade in terms of traffic. We generally consider traffic to be one of the biggest pros of living down here. Now, if you're from a small, quiet part of Illinois or some part of the country where all you see is corn or open fields, then this may seem like, you know, a little bit of traffic to you, but otherwise, I think you're okay. Another thing that's different here in Lower Alabama, and I personally like it, is that you're gonna see a lot of cultural diversity. People are coming here from literally everywhere around the country and even the world for that matter. Like I said before, there's beaches and palm trees and amazing real estate and some of the best seafood you've ever tasted. I promise, it's great. Now, don't get me wrong, I know Chicago's diversity and food scene blows Lower Alabama's out of the water in just about every category except for seafood, but it's nice to see regardless. A lot of people think it's not diverse down here, and I think it has a pretty decent scene. On top of that, I can't tell you how many transplants we have. This weekend, we've gotten someone from Mississippi, New Jersey, and Washington that joined us. Thank you, by the way, for trusting us. Then last weekend, we brought someone from California and Tennessee. Again, thank you. They discover this amazing state and never want to leave, but who can blame them? I know I can't. Oh, and I just talked to another Colorado couple today, and they plan on coming down in the very near future. But I say this because he mentioned something that is absolutely right, and that's that everyone is constantly outside riding their bikes, walking their dogs, kayaking, or fishing on the water. And he mentioned that because they do that in Colorado too, but here it's warm. Everywhere you look, I mean, is someone just being productive in general, and it's super refreshing, which really makes me believe that living down here is just overall good for your health, right? I think there's no doubt about it. And speaking of health, this is something worth mentioning if you're coming here from Illinois. You may know that recreational marijuana is legal in Illinois, and here in Alabama, recreational use is not okay. It isn't. You can only purchase medical marijuana here starting sometime in the near future. So if you have a license or a prescription, it'll be okay. But with most states legalizing recreational use, I'm pretty sure it's only a matter of time before it's legal here too. Now, I'll talk about our favorite difference here between Illinois and Alabama, and that's the Southern hospitality. Everywhere you go, you have it. I mean, everywhere. In Lower Alabama, everyone here is so polite and outgoing and friendly, and we moved here not once but twice, and I guess that's all of Alabama, right? We were welcomed into each neighborhood we moved into with open arms. Our neighbors literally showered us with gifts. I'm telling you, everywhere we went, and they just make you feel right at home. I mean, how amazing is it to have people who actually care? Every time I go to the grocery store, I'm telling you, I end up shaking people's hands, or I have an hour conversation with the person who's installing my internet, or at the golf course. I mean, everyone's friendly and helpful. It's just really refreshing. And in Illinois, I mean, I'm telling you, I was lucky if someone said hi back to me. Raising our kids here in this environment is by far the best part. They're learning to be respectful and outgoing. They're socializing and taking leadership roles at church and school. It's really a sight to see. But what's even crazier to me is that they absolutely love it. They love going, they love learning. It's just, it's like I said, it's a fresher breath air. Another thing that they love is the amazing wildlife and nature. You have the ocean, the dolphins, the sharks, the jellyfish, every fish imaginable, saltwater or freshwater, you know what I mean? We see gators and lizards daily, and you'll notice the woods around here that are just full of wild boar and deer. Just don't be shocked or surprised if you see a deer that looks malnourished. You literally have to hunt about 4 deer down here to get what you would find in Illinois, like a decent sized buck. And most people who visit Lower Alabama from other states are usually struck by the beauty of our oak trees and Spanish moss and palm trees. I mean, you'll see them everywhere you go, and it's really a nice change. Just don't expect to see the foliage that you're used to. Lower Alabama has low income taxes, low housing prices, and overall just a low cost of living. And Jess and I have visited many other states in the country, and we know that Lower Alabama is offering you the best standard of living. Now, I'm not saying you have to live here, especially if you didn't like anything I mentioned about Alabama, but if you ask me, I'd say our state is 100 times better than Illinois. So if you're looking for an overall just better living experience and you want life to be a little bit cheaper, you know, helps out a little bit, moving to Lower Alabama is going to be a great decision. I don't regret moving down here, and I don't think you will either. Alabama is literally a magnet to families and retirees alike. You have so many beautiful places to settle down. You have amazing food, wildlife, lower living expenses, which just makes living in Lower Alabama a great choice. So reach out to us if you have any questions, because we'd love to help you. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you guys in the next video.